What does the future hold for the compounded versions of the medications we talk about this channel? I'm going to get into it this morning. Let's really unpack where I think this is all at right now. So let's first talk about what we've seen in the news this week. We have seen that the research grade versions of these drugs are being throttled, choked off at the source. We have seen some news articles come out questioning the origination of the medications that are actually prescribed, right? The compounded versions coming from 503B pharmacies. And all of it seems coordinated and all of it seems calculated. Let's talk about what I think is going on here. So I think what we're seeing now is Eli Lilly has decided to leverage their billions of dollars, their law machine, to come after anything that is not a branded version of the medications that they have approved through the FDA. Let's talk about the research grade stuff first real quick. I think what's happening there is you have a select few suppliers that are supplying all the companies that are advertising here in the United States. In other words, they're all using just a couple sources. So it's very easy for them to find the source and shut it down by leveraging, just the vast amounts of money that they have to go after them. On the compounded side, you saw some articles come out questioning the source of the 503B pharmacy that is used by Hims & Hers. We just heard this big announcement a couple of weeks ago that Hims & Hers was going to be offering extremely competitively priced semaglutide. Of course, all this poses a threat to Big Pharma, who can't keep up with supply. And instead of owning the fact that they can't keep up supply and allowing 503B pharmacies to fulfill their mandate written by the law back in 2013, they're coming after and trying to demonize those sources by saying that they have experienced FDA infractions in the past. Now, any drug company who's experienced FDA infractions just means that they're being overseen by the FDA. That's a good thing. And Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk have both settled lawsuits to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars over the history of their companies to settle infractions with the FDA. And I'm not just talking about versions of their medications that are made overseas. I'm talking about plants in the United States. So their hands are not clean on this. But of course, if they can sort of slip a narrative into the media, they of course will. They have a lot of friends there because of the amount of money that they spend on advertising. So what does this all mean? Well, I think that the research grade stuff is going to be harder to come by if that's the route that you go. On the compounded side, 503B pharmacies, again, are designed to actually make medication in times of shortage. That's why our government allows for them to exist. 503B pharmacies were established in 2013 by an act of legislation that allows them to make drugs that are in FDA shortage. So in other words, it would actually take an act of legislation that would block these compound pharmacies from doing their obligation, right? Fulfilling drugs, manufacturing them in scale that are in an FDA shortage. So for that reason, I don't think that they're going to go anywhere. Now, you'll see the sources of these medications continue to be demonized in the media. You'll continue to see press releases from Eli Lilly, maybe ultimately Novo Nordisk, but I honestly think Novo Nordisk, there's more versions of compounded semaglutide available than there are tirzepatide, it seems like, especially when you think about 503B pharmacies who can manufacture drugs in scale. There's a lot more semaglutide being made at that level than there is tirzepatide. In fact, I think probably, honestly, the most of the versions of tirzepatide that are compounded, the kind that need the prescription, are probably coming from similar sources to the sources that are making the research grade, to be totally honest with you. But that is more speculation on my part than actually truth. But the 503Bs are making the compounded, the generic semaglutide, and I don't think there are any that are making tirzepatide that I'm aware of. So you see Novo Nordisk, they have plenty of reason to come in and swoop in and do the same thing that Eli Lilly's doing, but they're not. And I honestly think that having listened to many conference calls, earnings calls with the leadership of the company, I think Novo Nordisk is just a more ethical company. That is my opinion. They spend far more time talking in their earnings calls about the experience of their employees and how to make sure that the people who are making these medications are well taken care of and satisfied with their jobs. They're more concerned with bringing down the cost in the long term, even though they're taking a bunch of hits in the media right now, because that seems to be the focus of Bernie Sanders and his committee is Novo Nordisk. But I think that's because Lilly's an American company, right? Novo's an easier target. It isn't. I mean, Eli Lilly is making money hand over fist on Mounjaro Zepbound the same way that Novo Nordisk is making it on Wegovy and Ozempic. So to make a long story short, I really don't see compounded versions from 503B pharmacies going anywhere. Compounded semaglutide, I think compounded tirzepatide may be harder to get in the near term. If Lilly is successful, and if my hypothesis is correct that some of the research grade versions are coming from similar sources as some of the compounded versions, I think that you may see that become harder to get. But compounded semaglutide doesn't seem to be a target, doesn't seem to be something that Novo Nordisk is actively trying to shut down yet. So that's where we're at. That's where we're at. And I think that the blame on this can be placed solely at the feet of Eli Lilly, who is showing themselves to be extremely greedy. You know, the other interesting thing that I will add into this equation is I think one of the things that Eli Lilly did inadvertently when they went after the research grade versions of tirzepatide is they validated the they validated the fact that those versions of it have legitimacy. If they didn't, why bother going after them at all? It's not because they have this, you know, noble quest to ensure safety in a market that they have nothing to do with. It's money, and it's always been about money. And I believe what they did is they validated to some extent or lended credibility to those versions. So that's where we're at. That's what I'm seeing with the compounds right now. What are your thoughts? Where are you at with all this? What do you see happening? As I know that many in the community have some really interesting takes on these topics, and many people are more entrenched in the pharmaceutical world than obviously I am, which is none at all. I just sort of am a patient who likes to learn about these medications and share the news. So let me know what you think in the comments. I think this is a fascinating topic and will be very interesting to watch. Make sure you do all the things, like, save, share this video, and we'll catch you on the next one.